It's time for the spiritual business owners, the entrepreneurs, the leaders, because you're needed right now. You're needed today. Spiritual entrepreneurs, spiritual business leaders, you're needed more than anything today. So I won't get into my music right now because it could take me into a whole nother zone. So I want to talk tonight about profits as revival. And if you're new, I'm LaTonia Taylor, affectionately known as the RevCoach, the juicy spirit mama, the priestess of purpose, pleasure, and passion. And I'm going to back this thing up a little bit so that I'm not looking all cross-eyed and crazy. So I want to tonight I'm going to shift a little bit. Our resource, this has been our inspiration for the Replenish revival. I'm trying to get it in the camera. There we go. Somebody tag Trisha Hershey. Let her know we're showing her some love. So I'm going to jump right in, and then I'm going to give some practical tips on the profits having profits. Because whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, you are oftentimes the prophet in your family line. You have a prophetic power that's on your life, in your family line. The disruptors, the interrupters, the rebels, the black sheeps, the weirdos, the misfits. It's important for you in this season to think about profits, because oftentimes the people who have the soft skills, or what has been considered the soft skills, do not prioritize profits. It's been out there in that, artists don't make any money. Well, many millennials have changed the trajectory of that whole conversation. And outside of the music industry, there are some real entrepreneurs who are owning their narrative, owning their businesses, and owning their profits. So that's entertainment. That's easy to look at entertainment and acting and that type of thing. But those of you who have been in business, those of you who have been providing Reiki services and energy work and all of these things, those of you who have been working with youth and those things that have not been well paid. And even if you're in a profession where you got the degree, you got the certification because it paid well, the truth that you have to answer for yourself is, are you satisfied? Just because you are getting the bag, or what is it costing you? We talked about already in this process of the replenish process represents a week of reflection, a week of restoration, a week of repositioning, and then we're closing out this week of revival. A personal revival, because this year of the 7 truly is a personal revival. I can't see everybody's name, but I do want to say hi and welcome you into the space. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you coming in, my love. Hey, love, how are you? Hey, Miss Tamika. And so if you have the degree, oftentimes, particularly after 2020, many people had to figure out if you wanted to continue to stay in the work that you were doing. We already talked about this a lot with purpose. Each week we have gone, each day of the revival, we've broken down this replenishment in purpose, pleasure, passion, and tonight we're closing out with profits, which is the foundational work of Rebirth with Latonia, Rebirth International. Okay. And I want to say it again, just for those who just came in. This is for the empaths in business, the creatives, the people who do business different, not because you want to, but because you have to. Come on now, out your amen. Not because you want to, but because you have to do business different. And this is a season where the collective consciousness needs you. The collective consciousness needs you to be replenished, because oftentimes we have given and have been underpaid. We have given our services for free, had a conflict about money. Greetings, sis. Welcome. Share this out. Share this with the tribe. I did not have a chance. My head has been in the books, profit planning. And I will tell a quick story. When I first got into business, I wasn't trained first with sales. There are a few types of coaches. There are coaches who have been trained in how to do the work. Literally have been trained in industry standards, but also have the extra ability to take you into places, transformative spaces that create healing for you. Then there are coaches that have gone and followed an online type of program, and they have been taught how to sell. They're salesmen. Come on now. Do y'all know the difference? Does it feel different? And so oftentimes the coaches who are taught how to sell don't have the soul, or have not done the soul work. And those who have done the soul work oftentimes have not been taught how to sell. And then there are those who are transitioning. You may have a degree in social work. You might have a degree in psychology, but you weren't getting paid well. You saw people with a brand, and so you wanted to come and say, well, shit, let me come and get some of this. And so they're clinically trained. They're very rigid, and they haven't done the soul work, nor have they done the sales work, but they have the credentials out there. And then there's the folks who are creating courses, calling themselves coaches, who have done none of it. No soul work, no sales work, or anything. But they may have had a success in their life, and other people want a piece of it. And so they attached a brand, hung out a shingle, and there we have it. Now, if I'm walking too heavy, don't get mad, right? Don't get mad at me. Welcome into the space. Don't get mad at me. Hang in here, because we need to be able to correct some of this. We need to be able to rectify ourselves for our own reparations. You know, everybody is starting to talk a little bit more about reparations. We see it showing up even in some cities and municipalities and such that are exploring this whole idea of reparations. Yes, y'all. But there are ways. I love the entrepreneurs who are teaching people, the master level coaches who are teaching the people who you can set up your own reparations plan. And that is the conversation that we've been having in our tribe since 2020. First, we got to deal with our mindset. But I don't want to teach that too much, because I want to build off of replenishment. I want to build off of replenishment. And one of the things that I loved, and this one is not a rhema because it was so specific that I just had to read this portion from Trisha. She says, the idea of rest as resistance and rest as reparations can be challenging to distill in a few lines when I'm asked to do a quick take. It is counterintuitive to believe rest to be not a place to waste time, but a generative space of freedom and resistance. Now, I talked about what resistance is earlier in the week. We have never learned this in our culture. The thought of not doing, even for a short time, is seen as lazy and unproductive. So, an explanation for rest as a form of justice is layered and nuanced. I have learned that one of the most concise and true ways to share the message of rest is to say, rest makes us more human. It brings us back to our humanness. Now, I hope somebody's saying, well, what does that have to do with profits? I'm so glad you asked. What does that have to do with profits? What does that have to do with paying my bills? Right? Because that's what I was just in a coaching conversation with a beautiful boss chick, right? Has a brand, has all these things going on. And you know, oftentimes when I'm working with these executives who are doing amazing things out in the world, oftentimes their families are suffering because they're not at home. Entrepreneurs, we're always multitasking. The to-do list is endless for us as entrepreneurs and business owners. But where do we pick up this narrative that, you know, let me digress. You know, Akon recently responded to something. Did y'all see Akon's response about about Nick Cannon having all of the children? Did y'all see that discussion? Nick Cannon having all of these children, and the interviewer on the podcast said, she said, rest is so good. Happy New Year, love. We have to take care of ourselves. Ashe, ashe. But they said, the podcaster said, Nick Cannon is being irresponsible because he's having all of these children and he can't go to a recital, he can't go to a soccer practice and all of this, right? Come on, put a heart, put something in if you've seen this. Isn't it interesting? Akon responded, hey love. Akon responded and said that you're using the white man's standards, you know, and people wanted to tear him a new one. But I would go so far to say that we're using poverty's consciousness to measure our parenting. We're using lack consciousness. We're not thinking like the royals. For instance, some of us, when we start thinking about profit and money and prosperity, we think about having a house and having a car and all of that. But most of the time, we don't think about the fact that when you become an entrepreneur, some things you can't always have a cape. You may have to hire someone, from a driver to a chef to someone to clean. That is a wealthy way of living. And what is wrong with that? And why sit back in our such a muchness and judge people who have the means to live well and to put their children in a position not to struggle? Many of us are not even first generational millionaires. We see entertainers having millions, and they're the first in their generation. We see athletes having financial wealth, yes, and then they lose it. Somebody said, "Do I have to put you out, child? Do you say I need help? What kind of help I need? Tell me." They say ignore the people and the trolls online. I need help. What kind of help? You're not saying I need help. You saying you need help when you get money, when you expand your territory. Yes. Okay. Hey, Brittany, how are you, my love? Thanks for joining. And so I just want to shift us a little bit, because The Black woman in particular has always been the workhorse. If we understand the slave consciousness, the post-traumatic slave consciousness, and the impact on our psychology, it's working, doing is not new for us. They would do buck breaking for our men, and they would look at us for breeding. And that is some of that is in our DNA. And that is why so many of us are tired. And this is why Tricia Hershey wrote this book. Let me do one more quote from Tricia before I give us some tips to the creatives, to the spiritual entrepreneurs, to the empaths in business, to the heart-centered leaders. Before I give some more tips to give some tips, because we always want to come in and get the tips on how to get the bag. We always want to come in and get the freebies, but one of the things that we have to shift is the idea of investing. And the first investment is in our replenishment and our reparations. And you can't wait for the government to give something to you that is your birthright. We're waiting for the very government that has done what it has done to give us something that it took, which was our identity, our land. We are the indigenous people here. So that is why we were not immigrants imported here. So you give immigrants reparations. But what do you do for the indigenous? No, you have to give them their shit back. But until we, particularly you melanated sisters, stop being so distracted by being in survival mode, wearing a chip on your shoulder. If I don't have to ask nobody for nothing, that's not a badge of honor. It's becoming a shield over our heart because we do not know cooperative economics. We just came out of Kwanzaa. We don't know how to partner. We don't know how to build in community. We put our children out at 17 and 18 and think that we're doing something. And if we look at other cultures, I recommended this to my tribe when we were talking. How many of you have seen the show Indian Matchmaking? Put a Y or yes or something in the chat, or thumbs up if you've seen the show Indian Matchmaking. I recommend all feminine women go watch, because many of us have not been taught progeny. We have not been taught how to create legacies for our family. So the idea of profit is something that we go into thinking about just paying the bills. Ouch or amen. So Tricia says, we are not resting because we are still connecting to our rest in capitalist, trendy, consumer-driven way. The way we have been trained under a capitalist system, our work is not about a one-day only event. Where leaving your home is necessary to rest in a fancy retreat center or hotel. This work is about a slow unraveling. If y'all know about the juicy, the juicy acronym, the juicy acronym is joyfully unraveling, unveiling, intimacies created. Yes. She says this is a slow unraveling that will require our participation for our entire lives. It is a cultural shift rooted in an embodiment lens. This means that we must actively practice, engage, and push back against the dominant culture. We must snatch and integrate rest in the quiet, loud, mundane, and full moments of our lives daily. We must be committed to building community. and go into the deepest cracks to gather and care from anyone left behind it. But I know you still say, how are we going to do that when? How is rest a part of the resistance? Do y'all know what the resistance is? When we talk about the matrix, when we talk about Zion, again, the book is Rest is Resistance, y'all. Rest is resistance. That was our reference for the Replenish Process. If you want to get the Replenish Process, go into the journal. Go into the app, my app, Rebirth 360 app, and experience the Replenish Process. And all of this will mean something more to you, and it'll have some context. It's deep, because most of us are just looking for rest as an escape. But after you rest, and this is the quote I said earlier, after you rest, what are you going to do? Because restoration is not the same as rest. Sometimes you have to have a restoration plan. So getting a paycheck is a different mindset than getting into profits. So the employee that's listening to me may have to go through a transition state because the employee is leaning on something coming at a certain time, which makes us sometimes complacent. The employee can become complacent. Just do what you're told. Perform. Wait on the reward. But when you're an entrepreneur, and when you are a spiritual entrepreneur, there's a denouncement that already happens with spiritual entrepreneurs that do not do well in grind culture. Isn't it interesting that it's called grind culture, and we as women are experiencing the pulverizing of our reproductive organs? Isn't it interesting that it's called grind culture, and women are showing up with cancers in their breasts and inflammations in our womb? Why? What's inflamed? Did we inherit the inflammation? Because our mothers were tired. The big mama model was tired. They were not replenished. They were not in relationships that replenished them. They weren't in churches that replenished them. Oh yeah, I said it. Because just going to shout is just a trauma release. After you have a good shout, then what? It can also be quite orgasmic too, by the way, especially for women who haven't been getting none. Sometimes the only way that they have an orgasmic experience and release those chakras is through a good old shout, a good old run. But we're talking tonight about profits as revival, because this is a universal 7-year. The 7-year doesn't care about your denomination. The 7-year doesn't care about the mask that you wear, the pretending that you do. The 7-year is about doing the inner work and having the spiritual enlightenment happen by choice and not by force. Let me tell y'all on Instagram. Let me tell you this on Instagram. My YouTube people, sometimes y'all study more. You willing to go into the rabbit hole and watch some things and study some things and listen to some of the people in the circles that are teaching, the master teachers. But the Instagram people like to scroll and see who's posting their cars and posting their homes, not knowing, not caring whether it's staged, but feeling like you're behind something. This is not the year about money. 7 is not about money. It is about winning from the inside out. And it doesn't matter. If you try to avoid it, it can take over you. I'm not trying to scare you, but 7 is an inner work. Okay, I'm gonna get off of 7 because I already taught this on the 7, but I do want to give you some sacred principles to consider for profits. Because do we have some spiritual entrepreneurs in the house? Do we have some heart-centered leaders? Do we have some thought leaders in the house? Do we have some people who are the rebels, the black sheep, the disruptors, the interrupters in your family line? Are the first generation to do it? Do we have that in the house tonight? There's a purpose on your life. And the price that you have paid for being different. This is your season. The collective needs you. You know how to use the tools that they have been afraid of because their pastors told them, and the institutions that their pastors are wedded to told them not to study that material. Then there's some who are repurposing the material, but because they have a congregation that won't study, you don't even know what's being fed to you by who. Oh Lord, I know I'm walking heavy. I didn't intend to tonight. I didn't intend to, but if you tell me to stay in the pocket, I don't know. I might feel a little oily in here and it might just start dripping a little bit more. Okay. It's time for the people who have been the weirdos, the misfits in your family line, to experience the reciprocity of your vision. It's time for you to experience being the solution to the family drama. You can't join them. You have to rise above it. You went through suffering. It says, the scripture says, oh, they who suffer for a little while. You went through that in preparation for a time and a season such as this, so you don't have to be like the one that needs to be accepted, that has to go along to get along. So you can stand flat-footed on your own and answer the calling on your life. Because what's about to happen in this economy, those of us who have taken pride in being individually rich, and I got mine, you got yours, that the baby boomers taught us, and Generation X wasn't really thinking about it. Well, and now you see millennials doing. We got little clicks, money clicks. Don't be mad at the money clicks. Get you one. Get you a money click. But not just for money's sake, because if it's just for the money and there's no integrity, there's no foundation, there's no code of ethics, what happens when you fall out with each other? You got the bag, you got the profits. What happens when there's a conflict? See, the stuff that we don't heal in our family, we bring it over into our business. Ouch or amen? You want me to get up off of it? If it's ouch, I get up off your toe. I get up off of it. And the reason why I wanted to lay the foundation, because it's easy for me to go through a checklist, because we have become so transactional. I'm sorry, I'm not yelling at you. I'm just getting passionate. We have become so transactional in our relationships with one another. It's about what can you do for me? But not you, not many of you who are the soft spirits, the highly sensitive beings, the ones with the spiritual gifts, the ones that can walk in the room and feel the energy in the room. Those of you who cry easy. People looked at you as though you were weak. Well, in my weakness, I am made strong. Come on, get that affirmation. In my weakness, I am made strong. In my vulnerability, I am made strong. Vulnerability is not a bad word. And you find your vulnerability when you are replenished, not depleted, not hustling. The world needs you to awaken. Many of you who listen to me are already awakened. Many of you have already have been to every workshop under the sun, but you have not been able to figure out how to position yourself to profit. I didn't either. I started off with story time. All I wanted to do was serve. I thought that if I just showed up, because see, I'm a coach back in the day when it wasn't popular, when everybody didn't have a program. I had an online program before churches went online. I had a Sunday meeting. Oh, yes. Were you the first to do something too? And everybody looked at you as though you were weird? Yeah, because see, you got to know when they go left, when the crowd goes this way, you got to be able to stay back and look at the play. Because this year in my tribe, we're playing the Queen's piece in chess, not checkers. When everybody does something, instead of jumping on the bandwagon, too many copycats, too many people duplicating, go to one training and now you putting out a shingle, that is out of integrity. But I am going down a different road, because I know that there's a generation that don't give a damn about integrity, but they're going to need you. They're going to need you. And let me tell you something. A lot of these millennials are pissed off with us, Generation X and baby boomers, because in many ways we have been too arrogant and know-it-all, or too neglectful. And they don't want to hear a damn thing about our self-righteous indignation. They need to know us, our heart, our truth. They need us, even if they don't know that they need us. Well, I don't know so much about when they go low, you go high. I don't know, because that's the same slave master teaching is when I slap you upside your cheek, you turn the other cheek. That's some bullshit. No, we got to fight. But we got to fight in a different way. Smarter, not harder. I'm not of that tribe, honey. I'm one of the feminine warriors, baby. Woo, that's why I live in a state where we carry, honey. Don't y'all need to be going to the shooting range. You heard me? Okay. So let me get back on. We're talking about prophets as revival. Prophets and reparations. Okay. Number one, I'm going to get in and get out of this. Know your objective. The reason why it's important for us to know our objective is many people who have the softer skills, you know that you want to help people, right? But it hasn't been set up with any type of objectives. In fact, you may not have done well in school with learning objectives and all of this. Or you may have been super smart, because then there's that other element of those of you who are absolute geniuses. You know, there's IQ and then there's EQ. And people sometimes with high EQ do things different, but you still need to set an objective. And then the number 2 is you need to have a plan. Now, this may seem elementary to those of you who have been in business, but bear with me, hang on in here with me, because you may have had a business plan, or you may have had a sketch and outline and that type of thing. But oftentimes creatives and artists and healers and energy workers don't have a plan. You don't have a plan. Don't believe in planning. You need a plan because you need to be specific. Being specific helps to attract money. Money. Okay. Number 3, know your obstacles up front. When I worked in corporate America, and when I did what I did for organizations, we did a needs assessment. Some of you all do it for other people on their jobs. Come on. But you won't do it for yourself. Come on, raise those hands. You need a needs assessment. What's your needs first? That's the replenishment process I'm talking about. What's your business needs? But most of all, what is the needs of the client? What problem are you solving? Number 4, start small. Don't begrudge starting your what they call, some of the people who are looking at you and say your little business. They say, oh, your little business. Oh, your little class. But those who are faithful over little are being prepared to be positioned over much, over plenty. Because how you steward the little. Let me tell you something. When I got anointed and ordained as a minister, I got my throat and my mouth. The inside of my mouth was anointed. And I was told that I had to teach. That's how Rebirth Sunday was born. And sometimes it might be 5 people on the line when I started years ago. But I would teach just like it was 50, 100 people. You are faithful over little, but we give up too quick. But okay, let me keep going. Start small. Start at the little things that you're good at. Stop trying to replicate what somebody else did to get to their 6 figures. Only just do their plan. That never worked for me. I bet it doesn't work for most entrepreneurs. Spiritual entrepreneurs, spiritual business owners, spiritual centered and heart-centered leaders. Doesn't work well for us. Number 5, get in the game and make a decision. Get in the damn game. Get off the sidelines. Stop talking about what you're gonna do. Get in the game. Now, I have taught this. It's on my YouTube channel. Check out my YouTube channel, Rebirthwithlatonia. 4 ways to play. It's 4 ways to play in the game. And we're going to break that down every month in the Queen's Piece edition, this special session that we're doing, which I invite you to. You got to get in the game, though. But many of us think we're in the game and we got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'll just go back to work. Oh, my husband is going to take care of it. And I ain't going to even go into the details of the other culture, the culture of some of our young people that is selling. You heard what I said? You read my lips? Yes, I said it. One of the twins said, oh, Lord. Okay. Get in the game and make a decision. Be willing to mess up even when you get in the game. I'm telling you, sometimes, can I tell on myself? Yeah, I launched my app this year. No, last year. I launched my app last year, even while I was in initiation. I had a plan. I followed my plan. I had done a needs assessment and launched the app, because they're censoring us on these platforms. And I wanted a place where my tribe could get information, health information that's not censored, a place they could get sexual information that's not censored, pleasure, that type of thing. And so I launched my app. When I launched my app, there was some pieces of the way that it worked in the back office, and even for some of you, I just didn't like it. I had spent all of this money. We're talking about investment. Y'all got to make investments. If you chinchy with your investment on your learning, and you're chinchy with your investment on your but that's another step. Let me finish this one. And anyway, I spent a lot of money on staff and people to building this thing, and time, and oh my God, I was so dissatisfied. I didn't even want to halfway use the app. I wanted to throw the damn app away. I felt like such a failure. I was just like, oh my God. And then, I talked to another high level business owner and said, there's going to be losses. But if your identity is attached to getting good grades still, being a good girl, you don't handle loss well. You got to be willing to get in the game and mess up, but you also got to be willing to get in the game and be coached. I talked about my mentor yesterday. Now, it's no secret that Iyanla Vanzant, the Reverend Dr. Iyanla Vanzant, is my mentor. One of my main mentors, been in my life for over 20 plus years, been in her, you know what I mean? Okay. If anybody knows Iyanla Vanzant, and you understand that, y'all understand, straight no chaser. You got to be willing to be coached when you mess up. So then my other mentor in production and entertainment and TV, he is no joke either. Straight to it. Because your mentor that's performing at a high level don't have time to play with your feelings. You got to learn how to deal with your own emotions. Can't make decisions with your emotions all the time. So anyway, I rested because I was in an initiation process that required me to rest, to be still. And so I was getting all worked up, and I just backed up off that thing. And at that point, I really felt complete. My team will tell you I just was done. We had a meeting, but I backed up off that thing. I got some more coaching, some more specific support of how to get back into the game, for it to do what I wanted it to do, for the tribe and for me. And I am so happy that I stayed with it, Sometimes you got to get in the game and stay with it. And that the number 6 of that is get in the game and be willing to be coached in the game. The number 7 is stop giving up. Stop giving up on you because you're looking for acceptance from people who do not understand the calling. They did not get the memo that's on your life. They did not take the class. They did not do the energy work. They did not go to the plant medicine ceremony. They did not have the outer body experience. They do not have the spiritual gifts that you have, because they're not for you. Those spiritual gifts you have are not for you. And the moment that we start thinking that the higher calling is for us, we get in trouble. Just no different than the greasy preacher, pimps in the pulpit. No different. So I gave you 7 on a 7 in a 7 year. 7, I gave you 7 points for us to look at profit as revival. Profits for the prophets. Some of you have a prophetic anointing, a prophetic assignment, a prophetic gift, but you can also have prophetic prophets. Why? First, you got to start speaking over your life and showing up in spaces where you can be the weirdo and be embraced, be the misfit. Stop making excuses, because money needs to be circulated. Check out Reverend Ike. Money is currency. Our currency is changing. Our currency is being transformed right in front of our eyes. You're gonna go into stores and not be able to spend paper money, because currency has gone through several different types of styles, from seeds off of trees to bartering. And I could get into a whole conversation about paper pushing, the real game. But we got to get our emotions out of all of this. And also, don't be so spiritually bound that you know earthly good. It's time for those who have been the stone that the builders rejected to win, because you are the original mason. We pledge everybody else's thing, and we're afraid of the thing that is ours. You're not no Greek, but it's okay. I'm not judging you. You are the ancient one. I'm talking to the ancient ones. Am I talking to the ancient ones on IG tonight? Am I talking to the ancient ones on YouTube tonight? Come on now, just affirm it. I am. We are the ancient ones. When you begin to walk heavy in your indigenous identity, when you begin to merge your spiritual identity, when you begin to activate your DNA. And everything won't happen in your head, because it's not just intellectual. Even though I went through 7 intellectual steps, I believe and I experience that entrepreneurship is a rite of passage. And it is time that we treat it as such. Now, the people in my tribe, a few of you have been doing that. I have made an affordable offer for you all to come in the room and be supported. I work with high-level clients, and Lord, they are so refreshing to work with, because it makes me know that I'm not crazy. If we could just get you out of your struggle consciousness and deprioritization of yourself. You prioritize your children. You prioritize a pair of pants that come into your life. You prioritize looking the part, but you won't play the game that requires you to really play the role. Come on, y'all. It's the 7 year. The 7 year is also the year of the woman, the divine mother. It's time for you, sisters, to play the queen's piece. But when I'm offering the queen's piece and how to play it, the feminine abundance formula, what I'm offering is going to meet you where you are, so that you can break these small steps down or play a bigger game. So the link is in my bio on Instagram. I'll draw it. It's also in the bio here on YouTube, or excuse me, in the in the description box. It's been real holding this space, 4 days of this revival to end the replenish process. If nothing else, download the app. If nothing else, follow me, share this out. Share this. I'm gonna leave the replay up. Share this with somebody you love, somebody that you want to partner with, somebody you say, no, sis, it's time for us to get our business in order. Will you affirm that? Are you willing to get your business in order for yourself and for your family? Even if they don't speak to you, even if they are toxic, you can get it in order with yourself in mind so that we're leaving a legacy more than a GoFundMe, that we're leaving a plan, a roadmap. If nothing else, a roadmap. If you don't have the property, I love you too. Oh, what's up, sis? How you doing? The Thugs Pastor. I'm her. We got a similar spirit, honey. I see you, Delana. And if I can't see you on YouTube, haven't put anything in the comments, right? Yes, I'm willing to get my business in order. Yes, affirm it. Speak over your life. Get your business in order. Even if you don't have a business, there's business to get in order. It might be your heart. Might be your mindset. It may be those children that are draining you dry. It may be that you need to get some. You need some love in your life. You need to wet your whistle. Juicy is an opening, a vortex to abundance. So listen, it's been real. I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm so happy about going into this energy this year, There, anywhere you can find me on any of these platforms and connect to this work of Rebirth 360. It's been, again, my honor to hold this space for these 4. This is the final night of our revival, but I promise that I'm going to come back on more. The next time I think you'll see me is for Shift Talk. The podcast is coming back, and you want to be in the space because I am going to bring on a Baba Lau, who is a reader, a spiritualist, an oracle. He is powerful. You want to make sure that you connect to Shift Talk. I got a great lineup this year, and we are going to continue to build our community, overlap with some other communities, and we're going to flow in this abundance because it's available to us so we can be ready for the year of the 8, which is next year. Yes, I said it at the top of the year because this year is different. So again, I'll see you all on the other side. Thank you for joining. Let me know you came if you can. All right. All right. Lottie Dottie and everybody. Do you think we should do a little dance party over in Rebirth Woman on Facebook? Y'all want me to come over and do a little overflow? I feel like twerking tonight. I feel like celebrating that I was able to do this after being offline for so long. This is still a little new, but I'm so grateful. See you all on the other side. Ciao. Good night.